So let's get to more solutions in the Wi-Fi, wireless, and Bluetooth. So 10 first steps to a total EMF makeover. And these can be downloaded for free at my website. I showed you the little brochure, and we'll show you that at the end. StopDirtyElectricity.com. And they're also included in my book. And in my book, I have over 30 pages of solutions. So no, this is not some of our solutions. You don't have to take your little cat and put a tinfoil hat on it. And you don't have to wear a tinfoil hat either. So we have scientific, measurable solutions. So you don't have to put your pets through this. So the first thing, get as far away from the microwave as possible. And you'll say, well, how far do you have to get away? So let me, I'm going to bring up a, a slide. Let me get that reduced here. Today we're going to look at a microwave. You've often heard get away from the microwave if you turn it on. Let's see how far you have to get away to be in the safe level from radiation. We're going to turn on the Acousticom 2. There's one button. And let's turn some sound on. As you can see, it's in the green. We want to get to the yellow or green. Those are the safe levels. Now let's turn on the microwave and see what happens. As you can see, it went all the way up to the red. So let's go back and see how far we need to get back. So we're actually going to, still in the red, we get a little bit of an amber. A little bit of an amber still in the red. And the type of radiation we're measuring here is Wi-Fi and wireless radiation. And as you can see, it goes right through the walls. We've gone through a couple of walls and it's still there. So just going out of the room is not going to help. We've actually gone through a kitchen, a hallway. Now we're into a living room. You can still see it's in the amber now, and we're going to try to get it into the yellow. Every so often it goes into the red. So now we're through 3 rooms and we're in another hallway. So let's continue to go back and see how far we're away. Probably about 40 feet away at this point, maybe a little bit farther. And now we finally start to see a little bit of a yellow. And I'm going to turn the sound off. So as you can see, you have to really get away from a microwave once you turn it on. If you want more information, go to StopDirtyElectricity.com. Thank you. So hopefully you saw with that video how far you had to get back. We went through 3 rooms, a hallway, and we're back 40 feet. And you see we still weren't in the green. So again, whenever you turn on your microwave, make sure you get as far away as possible. And remember your pets. Where are your pets when you have this? Where are your pets? Make sure they're away from it too as well. So, all right. And so number 2, move it. Electromagnetic fields affects the melatonin production. So never charge your cell phone on your nightstand. So most people don't know every 6 to 30 seconds, the cell phone goes off and it's thousands of times the safe level in radiation for the trying to connect to the nearest cell tower, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi device. The other thing that we have a problem is the charger itself. Since it's a wired or it's plugged in somewhere, and even a wireless charger has a problem, is that most of them create electric radiation, magnetic radiation, and dirty electricity. So what we normally say is move it as far away as you can from your particular sleeping area. So we have ours charging in the bedroom. I have it on airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you need it for emergencies, get it as far away as you can. And I guarantee in the middle of the night when that goes off, you will hear it.
Yeah, that was my next question, like turning everything off, like Bluetooth and airplane mode. So thank you for answering that.
Yeah, no problem at all. And so number 3 is use a speakerphone. So whenever possible, use a speakerphone. So that's the best solution. Get it away. Don't be like this lady on the left, but use it in speaker mode.
Some people can't do it all the time. You know, we can't do that all the time, but whenever possible, use it on speaker mode. There are wired connections that people have. You know, they put them in their ear. Some are air tubes and things. But I always wonder where they have the phone when they have it in. Do they have it close to their body? If you have it in speaker mode, you naturally take it away from your body. So again, I know you can't do it all the time, but as much as possible, use the cell phone in speaker mode. So number 4, carry phones safely. So that's not good. And you might say, well, what's safe? Airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. That turns off all the radiation. And in my brochure that we have free, 10 ways you can reduce radiation exposure now, we have that and with this particular information, so you don't have to write it down. What I do is I print the printed form. You can download the digital form, the PDF form, but I print the digital. I print 3,000 at a time, so they're in doctors' offices and throughout the country. So if someone calls me up and says, hey, I'm a health professional, or I'd like to give some to my friends, and they want nice professional looking hard copies, I will mail those to you free. So if anyone ever wants to do that, no problem at all. That's part of my public service.
Okay.
So in this mode, airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off, you will not be able to send or receive messages. So don't forget to check from time to time on those. So my wife goes hiking. She's got airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. Every 45 minutes, she'll turn airplane mode back off again, and then she'll see if she's got any voicemails, text messages, any emails important. So that's what we recommend. So number 5, turn the router off at least at night. So we recommend, this is a good, better, and best solution. So the best solution is don't have a Wi-Fi at all in your house. Most people nowadays can't do that. So what we recommend is on the bottom right, either a timer if you want to turn it off at 11 o'clock every night and then turn on. But I like the remote control cutoff. We get them at Lowe's or Home Depot, and they're only $9.50. So during the day, turn it off, the Wi-Fi part, and then whenever you need them, turn it off. But most of the time, keep it off. There are routers that have an on and off switch now for Wi-Fi, which are even better. So again, the router is very, very powerful item. And a lot of people just have it right next to their leg or in their office, under a bed or something like that. And they're very, very powerful devices. Number 6, replace cordless phones. So if you have a phone like this on the left, a cordless phone, then replace it with a, get these at big box stores. All they do is plug into the wall. And with this one, this one right here, this is an AT&T phone. It has a little speaker mode. So if you don't want to do hands-free, then you're good. And make sure when you do get one of these phones and change them out, that you don't have an extra handset. If you have an extra handset, it has to communicate wirelessly with that. So I was in a home once, he heard me speak. I went to his home to do an audit and remediation. And he was so proud he bought a new phone, but it had an extra handset. The extra handset was still communicating wirelessly. And these new phones that are developed now, they're called DECT phones, D-E-C-T. And what they do is even after you hang up this part of the phone right here, the base continually goes. It continually is just like a router. It sends out Wi-Fi radiation even though you've hung up the phone. So. And then number 7, read on airplane mode. So we talked about kids using, and what you do is you download whatever app that they have, and then you turn airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off, and then they can look at the app free of any radiation. So again, that's what we recommend if you want to read on your phone or tablet. So I had a 34-year-old with an abdominal tumor. So I went to a Thanksgiving get-together, And a distant relative, I see him maybe once a year, told me he had an abdominal tumor. I said, abdominal tumor? He said, yeah, it's okay now. They've taken it out and I'm okay. But he asked me, he said, could it be caused by my tablet? And I said, tablet? What do you do? Every night he took the tablet in his hand, he laid flat in his bed, and he put it right on his stomach. So even if he wasn't searching the internet every 6 to 30 seconds, he was sending out radiation thousands of times a safe level. So he definitely does not do that.
Wow.
So again, remember, airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And what you need is to double check this to make sure that the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth remain off. So when you get a new update to your phone, sometimes the manufacturers will actually turn that back on. So you want to, from time to time, just make sure those are still off. So also cut power to wireless devices. We talked about that before. So you have to literally not just turn it off, you have to cut the power to them with a power strip or remote control cutoff. There can't be any electricity coming into that device because they have a phantom power. They're just sitting there waiting for a wireless, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi request. So I was in a doctor's office, and I was down on the first floor, and then she has some other suites on the second floor, and she wasn't feeling very well. And as I took my meter, I could see something was coming through the ceiling. So we went upstairs. Here was a printer completely turned off, but still plugged in, and it was sending out a Wi-Fi signal, even though it was completely turned off. So what we recommend is you always cut power to those particular devices. Any questions on that?
Yeah, or kind of a comment and a question is, from what you're seeing in your inspections, we're seeing this in the things that we're buying. We don't have, for example, a printer, an Alexa, other types of devices. There are no options to hardwire these devices anymore. It's wireless and wireless only if you're going to use that device even. So are you seeing a lot of those too now?
We'll have a way to get wired, but what happens is the Wi-Fi will still stay on, or if it's a Bluetooth, most of the time it's Wi-Fi if it's plugged in. And so that's the biggest problem. And you can go to a panel and you can try to turn it off, but sometimes I've been in an office where we turned it off and an hour later it was back on because it said, oh, someone turned me off by mistake. And an electrician I worked with here in Las Vegas, he had 2 kids with a tablet, and he turned the Bluetooth off on both of them, and it said, we will turn the Bluetooth on 24 hours from now. So literally the way he was doing it, they could only go off for 24 hours. So all the devices, all the electronic guys, the cell phone, the tablet guys, they want all the wireless continually up so they don't get a call or a bad name. So that's what they're always trying to do. So you just have to be diligent. And if it's any type of device and it has power to it, unless you have a meter to measure it, I have measured some printers where plugged in and off don't create Wi-Fi, but I measured other ones that do. So if you don't have a meter, I would just cut the power to the printer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so avoid Bluetooth devices. So here's a device right in the ear. And now they actually have headphones, all the wireless headphones. How about the little ones that actually go into your ear that are very, very
iPods.
popular? Yeah, really, really bad. And on those, there are no on and off switch. So if you've got it in your head, it's going right in there. And you'll say, how bad is it? Well, I was at a doctor's office and I had remediated his office, fixed his office. And so he said, melanoma. And he said, yes. And I said, and she thinks it was from her Bluetooth device. And I said, was it on the opposite side of her face of the Bluetooth device? He said, no. I said, it was on the same side. I said, was it above the Bluetooth device, the melanoma, or below the Bluetooth device? He said, no, it was right underneath the Bluetooth device. Every 6 to 30 seconds, that Bluetooth device is going off, even if you're not making a call. And guess, I have 33 questions before I go to a house that I send out and that we review before I do the EMF audit and then remediation. And one of the questions I have now is hearing aids. A lot of hearing aids now have Bluetooth and just going off continually in someone's ear. And it's not even on the outside of the ear, it's right inside the ear. Really, really bad. So
Would
if
that
someone
be
has,
Would that be the same for the Apple Watch?
yeah, the Apple Watches are really bad. Any smartwatch. So I'm at a yoga conference just before the release of my book. So I'm, promoting my book. And so, and normally when I measure an Apple Watch, it goes off every 6 to 30 seconds, thousands of times the safe level. And so a guy comes by, and normally when I have a booth, I'll measure, a tablet, a watch, or a phone, or whatever they like. And so I'm measuring his watch, and it's going off continually, thousands of times the safe level. It never stops. I said, this is very, very odd that your smart watch is going off continually. He said, I wonder if it's because it's connected to my phone. I said, oh, connected? He said, yeah, I've got an app that runs 24/7. I said, why would you have an app that runs 24/7? And then I looked where he had his phone. He had it in his front pocket, right? His front pocket, right next to his heart. And I measured his phone, and it was going crazy too, thousands of times the safe level. And then I said, this is pretty dangerous. This app you're running, I mean, is it possible not to run it all the time? He said, if I run this app, then when I go in, I have a heart problem. When I go in every 3 months, it'll give the information on my heart, and I don't have to take a treadmill test.
Wow.
So I think it could have an issue with his heart. So any of those type of electronic devices are going off. And normally on wearables, what we say, like, any wearables someone has, and say, hey, I've got to wear it when I work out. So I'd rather have you not wear it at all. But if you're going to wear it, only wear it during your workout. So there's an hour, and the other 23 hours, you're not getting radiation. So think about where you have your watch. Is it next to your, the side of your body? Is it in your lap? And it's touching all different parts of your body and next to your organs, and it's just going off thousands of times. Every 6 to 30 seconds, thousands of times the safe radiation level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if someone says, I got to have an Apple Watch, I've got to wear it, I said, okay, just tell the time, turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And then when you need to communicate, it's a must, then turn it on, but turn it off as soon as you can, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So again, good, better, and best solution. And number 10 is, this is what's called a smart electrical utility meter. So if you have this digital display, and a lot of people in the US have it now, is we recommend that you opt out, that you try to get it replaced with the old meter that has dials and wheels. And what happens is this throws out tons of wireless radiation. Whenever I go out and do an EMF audit of a house, I always measure it. But the other thing it does, it creates dirty electricity throughout the entire house. So I was in a home, and as soon as they put this on in the garage, it was a good distance away from the master bedroom upstairs. So I knew it wasn't the wireless causing the issue. He could not sleep in his house anymore. He literally slept in the van. Once they took the meter off and replaced it in Las Vegas with an analog meter, it has the wheels and dials, and then he could sleep in his house again. And it was probably because of the dirty electricity that these meters create. So they create Wi-Fi, they create a wireless radiation, and they also create dirty electricity. And on the meters, what they do is when you plug them in, since they're electronic devices, they're creating dirty electricity just because they're on. everywhere from 5 seconds to about 5 minutes, it communicates with the electrical utilities computer to say, hey, I'm still alive, don't worry about me. And it's a bigger surge of dirty electricity. And then between midnight and 4 a.m. every morning, this meter dumps all its data into the electrical utilities computer. And what they do now is they can tell whenever you turn on or off any electrical device in your house, from your hair dryer, you name it, they all have electrical. They all have an electrical signature. When they get approved for the to be produced in the U.S., they all have to submit an electrical signature, and that comes with it. And so they literally, some states and counties and cities are selling this information about what you're doing in your home. So, and then the bonus tip is a baby monitor. Baby monitors generate wireless Wi-Fi radiation constantly, ping, ping, ping. And I have a video on that. So let's see how far you have to get away from the baby monitor. So let's start that right now.
In this video, we're going to measure baby monitors for wireless and Wi-Fi radiation. So we have a unit here, which would be next to the baby, and we have it on, and the transmitter is in another room, so it doesn't interfere with our measurement. And we're going to be using the Acousticom 2. And what you do is you press the black button once, and as you can see, it goes all the way up to 6 volts per meter, and that's 120 times the safe level. We're going to turn the sound on, and then we're going to back up to see at what point it gets toward the safe level. And you want to get into the green. It's still in the amber. We're out of the red, but it's still in the amber, which is not safe for a baby. And we're starting to see a little bit of yellow, but not too much. And as you can see, we're still not consistently in the green. So I'm going to turn the sound off. Modern baby monitors put out a lot of Wi-Fi and wireless radiations. In another video, we'll show you another baby monitor that's not as severe.
And can you believe it? Did you see how far I had to get away? I was 20, 25 feet away, and it was still not in the green zone. So whenever we recommend you never use a baby monitor, if you do use one, you need to get a meter to test it to see if it's safe. There is a website called techwellness.com. Tech Wellness, T-E-C-H, wellness.com, and they have baby monitors that are completely safe. So I'd recommend if you do need a baby monitor, go out and find out what baby monitors they have. And if you can find them cheaper or another place, then obviously buy them there. But Tech Wellness has great devices, and they have a safe baby monitor.
It's interesting what you said, because when my oldest son, he's 6, he's going to turn 7 now. When he was little, we got a wireless monitor, and we could watch him from any computer anywhere in the world. Right. So my mom was in Brazil, and she was 6 hours ahead. So 12 o'clock in the afternoon there was actually 6 o'clock in the morning here. So she woke up at 6 o'clock, and she was actually watching him at midnight. And wow. She was always telling me that he tossed and turned all night long.
Yep.
It was like, and to me, it was like, oh, that's great. My mom can watch him while I'm sleeping, and she can tell me what's going on at night. But, you know, just listening to you right now, that probably was affecting his sleep.
Yeah, I can't prove it was affecting his sleep, but I can prove if you would have moved that 40 feet away or 50 feet or on the other side of the house, it would not have affected his sleep. Mm-hmm. But I would not take any chance with a wireless baby monitor. If you want a baby monitor, please go to techwellness.com and look at their baby monitors and use that. If you have a wireless baby monitor, please buy a meter or get someone with a meter to tell if there is a safe position. And as you saw in the video, I was 20 feet away, maybe 25 feet away, and it still wasn't completely green in the Acousticom 2. So what baby room is 20 feet big, 20 feet wide or 25 feet wide? I mean, it just doesn't happen. It's just, and so what we're trying to do is eliminate any possible sources possible, any source of radiation as much as possible. And there are alternatives. There are baby monitors that are non-wireless and that are completely safe. So these are precautionary steps you can take today with little or no cost. So all these things, and it is in that brochure that I have on my website. You can download for free at stopdirtyelectricity.com. So let's just take a second to look at some advanced solutions because of all the things happening with 5G. So I always recommend, if you can, a certified electromagnetic specialist in your area to get an EMF home audit and remediation. We meter and measure with commercial grade, highly sensitive instruments. We remediate and then verify the results. And if you want to see if there's someone in your area, go to a search engine and type in "find an expert building biology." So there's a list of us at the Building Biology Institute website, so you can go there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with the growing proliferation of 5G infrastructure, a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist can solve some of these advanced problems with shielding. So if we're now talking about cell towers as close as 250 feet, you might not need to avoid them. Now they are smaller, but they're still putting out radiation. And sadly, it may come to that as our exposure grows every single day. So some shielding options, we have walls and rooms, we have foil, we have fabric, sleeping canopies. A lot of times if a person is in a condo or an apartment, they have people below them, they have people above them, left, right, top, bottom. I mean, they're just all over. And if they have a router, almost everyone has a wireless router that can come directly into that room. So a lot of times, the third one down, the sleeping canopies is really what you can do in an apartment. But if you do put one up, you need to make sure you have some shielding underneath your bed because you don't want it coming up and being trapped in the canopy because almost all of these type of shielding are reflective. And so it can come up through the floor. There's also shielding paint for windows. We have shielding window film. Attic, there's certain techniques for an attic as well. And shielding can get complicated as most shielding materials are reflective. So shielding must be done by a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist, and shielding must be measured before and after to ensure the intended effect is accomplished because you can sometimes make it worse. I've seen it. But don't forget, there are plenty of things you can do right now to lower your exposure to harmful radiation. And most of the time, I don't need to use shielding. So remember this. This is what a friend of mine looks like. But let me end with this particular story. You don't want to look like that. Let me end with a 16-year-old. So I was doing a inspection, EMF audit in Las Vegas, and as I was coming out of the house, the lady of the house was with me, and she said, the girl across the street, she's 16 and she just had major surgery. I said, major surgery? I said, what happened? Well, what happened was she had a huge tumor on the side of her face. I said, on the side of her face? She says she sleeps with her cell phone right next to her pillow. And what she didn't know is every 6 to 30 seconds, that cell phone went off thousands of times the safe level. And someone might say, you can't prove that happened. But I can prove if she would have taken that phone and moved it, 50 feet away, 30 feet away, that could have never caused it. And the surgery was 7 hours. It was benign. And I said, I hope someone tells her not to sleep with your phone. I happened to see that lady about a year later, and she said, that girl that was 16? I said, yes. She's 17 now. I said, oh, the tumor grew back. This time it was cancerous. This time it was 9 hours. And this time she had to have plastic surgery. Again, I can't prove that that cell phone caused that. I can prove if that cell phone was a good distance away or turned off, it would have never caused it. But that's all we're asking is some people to change some simple habits, because when you have over 5,000 studies that say the cancer and the health effects are caused with this dosage at this distance for this amount of time, let's just be safe. So why should you care? There's a lot to care about. Remember your health, your children and grandchildren, your privacy and environment. You are wired to care. So here's my book again, over 30 pages of solutions and over 300 resources and references in the book. And then as well as in Appendix A, we have another 30 pages that shows the wired device, wired radiation would have a problem, and any Wi-Fi. So we have a nursery section, and you can imagine that's very, very large. So again, Exposed, the Electronic Sickening of America and How to Protect Yourself includes dangers of 5G and smart devices. And here's my website down here, stopdairyelectricity.com. You can download your digital copy of your brochure with 10 things you can do. And here's a little crazy, but I do this. I always give out my number, 702-845-5794. If you want to call me, I'd be happy to take any questions at all. So again, Exposed, Electronic Sickening of America and How to Protect Yourself, including dangers of 5G and smart devices. And thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Bill, it's been a great pleasure. And this confirms something that we've been talking about quite a bit over the last few days is habits and changing our habits. And how do we live in this new technical world and make small changes. And thanks for the kind of different ways, you know, you've got a good, better, best type of scenario.
Always.
So yeah, that's great.
There's one thing that I want to ask you, very specific topic. How does EMF and toxin exposure or mold exposure, how do they, work together?
Well, Dr. Kletenhart up in Seattle area, he's an MD and a PhD, and he's done a number of measurements, and EMFs can actually increase the mold, the effect of the mold by over 8 times. So by having EMF, and we all have it, and your neighbors can have it, can actually increase the effect of that mold by over 8 times. And a lot of times when I go into a house and we reduce all the EMFs, then, and it's part of my 33 questions as well, I sit down and we take as much time as needed to go through the 33 questions to find out what type of environment, have they ever had water damage, and if we have an issue, if we reduce the radiations and they don't feel as well or they had issues, then I always recommend mold remediation. To get a mold test, there's an ERMI test that Eric's very familiar with. I know you're certified in that area, do a great job. And that's one of the ways you can tell if you've had it and, if you have mold. So mold can be a huge contributor to all of this for people's health. So.
Yeah, thank you. And one thing that I want to show everybody, I love this section of your book. I'm a big checklist person.
There you go.
And all the checklists that are here are just fantastic. Very easy to navigate. It takes all the guessing work, out of the problem, and you go room by room. This is very helpful. So I highly recommend the book.
And what I do is I go out to CES every year. So anything new, I will add to that book. So it's a small percentage, but again, anything new I want to add. And one thing, I would go through CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is one of the largest shows in Las Vegas. And what happens is I just go through and collect things. They even have EMF. They have things for horses, and I mean, it's just crazy. And so I went up to one, and I really don't tell people what I'm doing. I'm just collecting information. But I remember I told one person what I did. You know, if they ask, I tell them. And they said, oh, good. We have Bluetooth. That's safe. And I told her it is not safe. And just to let the people know, we didn't look at devices, but if you have a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse, that's putting out tons of Bluetooth. And when I put my meter on it, it's over 95,000. And we want you in 100 or 150. So go down, buy a wired mouse, buy a wired keyboard, USB. It's even cheaper than the wireless ones. And that's something actually I even keep with me. So, you know, if someone wants to buy it, you know, whatever I buy it from, whatever I paid for it, I just supply it. Because when I go out to a home, I try to solve as many issues as I can on the spot. I spend 25% measuring and 75% correcting the issues. So we get everything done at that same thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the time and, you know, all the information you gave us today.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm assuming Southern Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Southern California, if people want to get a hold of Bill,
sure,
his number on there. I highly encourage you to have him come out to your house if you're even slightly concerned and test your own home.
And there's great people in the rest of the country to do that. Just go to Find an Expert, Building Biology, in a search engine to find that. Every so often, someone will fly me up to Idaho and things like that just because, you know, they want to. But most of the time, I work in those 4 states, and there's great people to do it. And I would always recommend that you get the 10 things that we talked about, and then also the book. So look at those. There's over 30 pages of solutions for that if you're a reader, and we are working on an audio version. So as soon as we'll have that out, probably in about February. So a lot of people are commuting now, so I've had a lot of requests for that.
Okay. Well, again, thank you and have a great day.
Thanks again. We sure appreciate you having me on. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Thank you.